What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel, MMA Prophecies. Today we got a quick recap of last week's card, as well as a full overview of this week's card. And I got my boy PK MMA here joining us once again. Welcome back, brother. How you doing?
What's going on, everybody? Jay, I'm good. Great to be here. I'm happy about it. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody watching this video. We're excited. We'll get some recap for last week and then break down some fights for you guys tonight for this weekend's card.
Awesome. Yeah, sounds good, man. Yeah, happy Thanksgiving to you as well. And yeah, so you want to go ahead and let's start recapping that last week then.
Yeah, so I had some people reaching out to me early in last weekend's card. I had a little bit of hate going on with the Kosi fight, how it started off. That one was tough, man. That first round, especially, he dropped Sasha. I mean, twice, man. Sasha looked like he was out of there. The refs later on in the night, man, they were stopping the fights for much less than what happened in that first round. But you know, props to Sasha. He rallied. He got through to the third round. He got that late stoppage. And then that Daniel Rodriguez decision, man, I think we can all agree that was I don't use the term robbery very much, but man, I felt like that was a robbery in my opinion. I threw up some of those stats on my Instagram, and man, he outlanded him significantly every single round. And they gave some of the judges, I think, gave a 30-27 to Nicholas Dalby, which just blows my mind. So that was tough, but after that, my team actually rallied. We did end up profitable on the night, on the week. So I'm really happy about that. Really happy we were able to rally. I got a big client list for this week, and we're excited to break down some of these fights. It's a bit of a tricky card. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely a tricky card. Not a lot of spots in my opinion.
Yeah.
There's maybe like one really safe spot and maybe a couple of others, but yeah, definitely a lot of fights to stay away from. Just a lot of new guys, lots of inexperienced people that you really don't want to put any money on. And but yeah, but there are a couple, definitely some spots here. I can see that.
A lot of guys you would fade normally, honestly. A lot of guys you would fade are going against each other. So it's a little bit tough because it's the lesser of two evils kind of. But, I think sometimes the best advice is saying when to stay off of a fight rather than betting on it and just flipping a 50-50 coin because, you want odds that are better than 50-50 when you're putting these bets down. So, I think if you're ready, we'll break it down now.
Oh yeah, for sure. All right. First
All right.
part we got Nate Maness versus Luke Sanders. This should be a really good one. Nate Maness coming, off 12-1, looking pretty good. Looking, overall pretty solid in terms of MMA. He fought Johnny Munoz Jr. that last fight. Did a good job of holding off those takedowns for the most part. And Johnny Munoz is a beast on the ground. And Nate, wasn't able to get off a ton of strikes, but he does like to use that long range striking and boxing. And in my opinion, he does a really good job of maintaining that distance. And I do expect him to really be able to maintain that distance versus Sanders here. But Luke, I think this fight is going to come down to pretty much what kind of Luke Sanders is going to be showing up here. Is it going to be the one that comes forward and, has no fear and really employs his boxing here? Um, and is it going to be the Luke that doesn't make those dumb mistakes like he has in those past fights? That's really cost him. In the Andre Sukumtat, he was winning that fight. He was piecing up Andre on the feet the whole night, but he just got a little reckless and ended up getting knocked out. Same with Ronnie Yaya. He was beating up pretty good until Ronnie got a heel hook in.
Yeah.
And also there was another fight where
Yeah.
he got knee barred where he was winning that fight too. So,
I think he was down a little lower. Yeah.
I'm actually
Alcantara.
Yeah, I'm actually edging out Maness here to be able to keep that distance. I think Maness just seems to have a better fight IQ right now. I think he's coming off some pretty good momentum, and I kind of expect him to maintain the distance here and be able to keep it on the feet. And even if if Sanders does kind of hurt him a little bit, I think Maness has better wrestling, and he's going to be able to take it to the ground as well.
Yeah, man, I think you bring up a lot of really good points. I think Luke Sanders has all the talent in the world. When he shows up, I think on a good day, he takes out Maness. But the problem is, you see in some of these recent fights, you're talking about the Andre Sukumtat fight. Man, I'm not really that high on Andre Sukumtat. I'm not even sure if he's still in the UFC anymore, honestly. And Ronnie Yaya, pretty much a one-trick pony. It's really good submissions. Everybody knows what you got to do to get him beat. Nate Maness, a couple interesting things here, I guess. I think he's got the better game plan here. He's actually gone 5 rounds before, so his cardio shouldn't really be an issue. This is actually down a weight class as well from what he normally fights at. I think this is Luke Sanders' normal weight class. They're fighting, I guess if you take a look here, at 135, and Nate Maness, I believe, actually fights at 145 normally. Another thing, too, is Luke Sanders hasn't really fought, if you take a look here, since early 2019, right? We're right at the end of 2020. So it's been about 2 years. So I think there's a lot of questions coming into this fight. So I think, like you said, it's going to be interesting. If Luke Sanders shows up, I think he can get the win. But Nate Maness has been fighting a lot more frequently, a lot more activity. And, I think this is going to be a really close fight. And currently, I was just looking at the odds. Nate Maness, a plus 125 underdog. So I guess I'm going to start the night off with an underdog pick. I think I'm going to go with Nate Maness. I think there's too many questions revolving around Luke Sanders, and I just don't really know what to expect. And at minus 145, minus 150, depending where you're getting him, I just think that's a lot to put on a guy that's really showed some poor ring IQ in the past. Very talented guy when he does show up. But the question is, are we going to get that version of Luke Sanders that's going to show up? And I guess we're going to see Saturday night. So I would say if you are going to bet this one, personally, I take the dog money. However, overall, it's just a tough fight. You don't know what's going to come out. You don't know what Luke Sanders is going to come out. Probably best to just stay off, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely best to stay off this one. I agree with that. Should be interesting, though.
Yes, it should be a good fight. So we'll see how that one goes. So, all right, Luke Sanders, Nate Maness. I think it's going to be a good fight to start the card off. Up next, we got Sue Mudaerji versus Malcolm Gordon. And this is a good fight. Sue Mudaerji is actually the biggest favorite on the card. I think they're sitting around like minus 350 last I checked versus Malcolm Gordon. And I do think this is his fight to win here. He's younger. He's much bigger advantage on the feet. I think Malcolm Gordon is really going to have some trouble keeping up with him on the feet. I think Malcolm Gordon maybe be better in terms of the jiu-jitsu department, but Sue Mudaerji, this is pretty interesting. If you go to his Instagram, if you go at one of his most recent pictures and who he's training with, he is training out of Dagestan with some of the Russians out of Habib's fight camp, actually. And he's been working on that wrestling, on that grappling game. And I really think that's going to show. I don't think this fight's going to go to the ground. If it does, I think Sue is going to be able to cover here. And like I said, I think he's been working to improve those holes in his game that Malcolm Gordon just won't be able to show up with. So in my opinion, I think this is a pretty easy pick. I'm going to go with Sue. What do you think?
I got Sue because, he started training with them a year ago, and he's still has been training with them. He should be much better by now. Consistently training over there in Dagestan, wrestling. And I think that's the right thing to do. You see a lot of guys in the UFC who come in as maybe, superb wrestlers or superb strikers, but they don't really work on that other hole in their game, which is going to take them to that next level. And so it's pretty cool seeing Sue Mudaerji do that to really focus on his major weakness, because obviously this guy's has really good striking, really fast on the feet, great side.
Oh yeah, definitely. He's gonna be so much faster. Yeah.
Very long, very fast, very accurate, and especially for having that frame in that weight class, I think he has one hell of an advantage on the feet. And so I do expect him to look pretty much as good as he ever has, landing those straights right down the pipe. And I think Malcolm's going to have a pretty tough night here trying to take down Sue Mudaerji. I think I'm gonna go and say that Sue Mudaerji wins by KO, TKO.
Yeah, I could definitely see this one inside the distance. Interesting fact, all these guys' losses, Sue has only lost by submission and Malcolm has only lost by knockout. So I think maybe a safe bet is take this one inside the distance. I don't really know what the line is on that. Maybe check it out. Maybe it's a parlay piece. I don't see this one going the distance, but I do think Sue is going to be able to defend off those submissions. And I really do think he's going to just piece up Malcolm Gordon as the night progresses. So I think we're both in agreement there.
Yeah. And note, guys.
All right, who we got next?
Sorry, one more thing about the Sue Mudaerji fight. Malcolm has a really bad habit of leaving his hands down, and while he's coming in, he's got tagged and clipped. He's been KO'd 3 times, and that habit is harder to break than for, let's say, it is for Sue Mudaerji to stop the takedowns, right? So my opinion, Sue Mudaerji all day in here. But move on to the next card. Kai Kamaka III versus Jonathan Pierce. I think Kai Kamaka is one of the more well-rounded MMA fighters on this card, in my opinion. This dude has, a pretty good wrestling background. I believe he studies things that involved MMA in when it comes to college. He studies like sports management. He's becoming a physical therapist, and you can kind of see that in this guy's game. He managed himself pretty well throughout the fight. Knows when to
Yep.
level change. Also has shown that his boxing has improved a ton in this last fight. Really worked the body that last fight, and he's going to be fighting a pretty heavy brawling style of Jonathan Pierce. I think the that style is
He's
really
on a
gonna,
nice little streak right now.
yeah.
He's been busy. That's what, 6 fights in the last 2 years or so. That's pretty good. Let me ask you this: what do you think the line is on Kai Kamaka, and what would you be comfortable playing it at?
I think the line right now is he is a pretty big heavy favorite, like three something. Um, the
He
only
is,
reason
man.
I
I
wouldn't
don't
do
think he
that,
opened that high either.
yeah, the only reason I wouldn't do that is because he does tend to have a little bit of issues with guys that do pressure him and have good cardio, like Jonathan Pierce. Jonathan Pierce is going to be taller, he's going to be longer. He has some pretty decent cardio, and I can see him giving Kai Kamaka some problems in that third round. I think
Yeah.
that's the only reason why I wouldn't take Kai Kamaka that high as a favorite.
Yeah. So here's where I'm at with this fight. This is actually a pretty short notice fight for Kai Kamaka. I think he had maybe a couple of weeks max for this fight. He's going to be pretty undersized against Jonathan Pierce, I think, as well. Jonathan Pierce, he's not small for 155 pounder, and Kai Kamaka's natural weight class is actually 145. So again, if we're talking about something to think about, there's probably going to be a size difference here. I think Kai Kamaka is the better fighter for sure. And, you see Jonathan Pierce's most recent fight, if you guys watch that against Joe Lauzon, he didn't really give a good account of himself, I think, in my opinion. And I think there's some recency bias there. I think people saw him get ground and pounded. They saw that he was on a nice little win streak before then. He was fighting at Bellator against decent competition, won his contender series fight, and then he came in. I do think Kai Kamaka wins. That's going to be my official pick. But guys, that line is pretty steep. I don't know. Would you feel comfortable parlaying Kai Kamaka?
No, no, I wouldn't because I don't think the value's there. Like the line's way too
Yeah.
much. I'm very confident,
Honestly,
but I wouldn't put any money on that.
yeah. So I do think Kai Kamaka is the play here. If you guys are going out, you're trying to bet this fight. Personally, I wouldn't parlay him. Honestly, if you're going to bet this fight either way, maybe a small stab on Jonathan Pierce is the way to go or something like that. But
Or maybe
this
Kai
is
Kamaka
probably
by
one of the ones I'd
decision.
stay off.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe Kamaka by decision. You guys can see here, he's not really a big finisher. As you can see, pretty much all of his last wins in the past 2-3 years have all been by decision. So Kamaka by decision. Let me see if I can pull some odds up on that here. Doesn't look like they're out yet on my book. I'd expect it to be close to even money. So if you guys are looking to put maybe a unit down or something like that, Kamaka by decision, that may be the way to go for this fight. That might be a nice little bet there.
Yeah, for sure.
So
And
yeah, should be a good
Pierce,
fight.
Jonathan Pierce, even in his wins, he hasn't looked impressive to me, in my opinion. Just too much
Yeah,
of a
I
brawling
agree.
style. He has a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, and he's good at jiu-jitsu and wrestling, but he doesn't really use any of that much. And I think Kai Kamaka is going to be able to just expose him as the better fighter here.
Definitely, definitely. Up next, we have Rachel Ostovich versus Gina Mazzani. And man, maybe this is a fight for the fans. I don't know if you've been on Rachel Ostovich's Instagram. There's some enjoyment out there. I'm pretty sure a lot of people will be betting on her solely for that fight. But this one's got me struggling, man, because I don't want to bet on either of these girls. Rachel Ostovich has a negative record. The only girl of note she's beaten is Paige Van Zandt, who just got cut by the UFC. She's been getting demolished by her competition, signed with Bare Knuckle FC. And Gina Mazzani is just not impressed me in the past, man. I mean, you saw she got train wrecked by Julia Avila, and we saw what just happened to Avila in her most recent fight. So this is a tough one. I honestly, though, I do think, and I could never really imagine myself saying this in many other spots, Gina Mazzani might get it done. So Mazzani is actually moving down to 125 for the first time in her fight career. She normally fights at 135. Her head coach now is James Krause, and I'm very high on James Krause as a coach. I think he does very good things for his fighters. He has very good game plans, and he implements their strengths over their weaknesses. She is married or engaged to Tim Elliott, who we know is another UFC fighter. He's not the best, but that's, I think, a good environment to surround yourself with. And she is going to be so much bigger than Rachel Ostovich, man. If she can just utilize that reach, I think she has a 6-inch reach advantage over Rachel Ostovich. And that's a really important statistic, especially these women's MMA fights, very low level. Rachel Ostovich's striking has never impressed me personally. I think, if anything, if you want to hedge this fight, maybe Rachel Ostovich by submission might be the way to go. But personally, and I can't believe I'm saying this, I do think I'm going to take Gina Mazzani, and it's a pretty close line. She's about a -150. So what do you think about this fight?
Well, I personally am going to take Rachel just after watching the tape. I think, man, Gina is just, honest, in my opinion, she's just untalented. Just very untalented.
It's tough. It's tough in this position.
She's still just a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, and being untalented and just having a blue belt, I think Rachel's gonna have the edge pretty much everywhere. I know Gina's gonna be bigger, she's gonna be longer, but Rachel has faced longer fighters in the past, and she's actually done quite well versus long fighters. I understand that a lot of people are kind of iffy about the negative record, but honestly, after looking at the tape, I think Rachel did pretty good in the Paige VanZant and the fight versus go down, Montella de la Rosa. Montana was much longer, but Rachel was able to get inside, land some pretty good strikes, which made Montana want to grapple, and eventually she did get her down.
I think Montana De La Rosa is better than her husband as well. Mark De La Rosa. I'm not impressed by him. I do think Montana De La Rosa has some talent, though. So I definitely see where you're coming from. I think that's a close fight to pick them. Guys, again, honestly, low-level women's MMA fights like this are a coin toss. One fighter can be winning the entire fight and then make a stupid mistake and get armbar from guarded, which is like Jiu-Jitsu 101. So I'm not super high either way here. I see Jay's point. Maybe just take the dog money on Rachel Ostovich. I see path to victory for both girls. I think if Rachel does get it to the ground, she can pull off a submission. I think if Gina Mazzani can stay standing, use that reach, maybe just outstrike her. She's got a pretty decent output, I think. I am more so hoping, because of who's cornering her, Tim Elliott, her coach, James Krause, they can develop a smart enough game plan to use her tools there. But I see where you're coming from. And, I think it's nice to hear both sides of a perspective when we disagree on them. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think this truly is probably going to be a pretty close fight. And you can probably see past the victory for either girl.
Yeah, for me, I think the breaking point is Gina. I think the best way for her to win is to have Rachel make a mistake on the ground. And I'm hoping Rachel learned from that. Besides that, if Gina, people are saying that she could use her reach, but man, her striking is just so bad. It's like so level A, like one of the fights, she landed a right hook, and then because she did land, she ended up throwing that right hook 4 more times in a row, which is like something just a super newbie would do.
Trivial.
Yeah, and so I was like, oh my
very
God,
novice level.
no way, like I could take this woman.
Yeah.
And I
we'll see. I'm gonna watch some more tape, guys. I think we both release our official picks on Saturday morning when the UFC drops their roster and everything. So stay tuned for that. But we'll see with this one.
Yeah. I know she's been working with James Krause, but I think new gym 2-3 months in, I think
maybe you won't see the improvements as much. Yeah. Definitely.
But anyway,
I think one thing's for sure. I think if either of these girls is losing, it's kind of going to be the chopping block for them. It's going to be cut from the UFC.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of fighters on here. I think the UFC threw together this card. They're like, you know what? It's time to slim down the ranks a little bit, and we'll go from there. So,
for sure.
Up next, we have Martin Day, Anderson Dos Santos. What do you think of this fight, Jay?
Really, really good matchup. Martin Day is going to have a significant edge on the feet. Anderson Dos Santos is going to have the edge on the ground. But we have a classic sign of a jiu-jitsu black belt that doesn't really like going to the ground. So, in my opinion, I'm
kind of weird.
I'm going to have to go with Martin Day here. I think Anderson, man, I mean, he attempted like 1 takedown in the last 2 fights or something like that. Just something quite alarming. And for someone to do that after he's getting pieced up on the feet, not want to go to the jiu-jitsu is it's pretty bad sign.
His last win by submission too was 2017 against Claudiani Bertorello, and I'm not even sure he's in the UFC anymore. So I don't know, man. You see, he was getting sure these submissions in these low-level regional promotions, but he hasn't really shown anything like that in the UFC so far. You see in the UFC, he's 0-2, and Martin Day, I mean, he's not great either. Let's be real. Martin Day is not he hasn't gotten off to the start I think he wanted to in the UFC. He lost to Davey Grant. It's kind of a tough fight. I think he was doing decent against Davey Grant, and then he made some stupid mistakes there. And then Ping Yang Liu, it was a split decision. Probably could have gone either way. So he's 0-2, could be 1-2. It's a tough one to call, but I agree with you. Black belt that doesn't really want to go to the ground is probably not the best sign, especially when that's your best path to victory.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, Martin has shown more positive signs in his fights. At least winning on the feet, having some good moments. Yeah, he did get, leave himself open, but Anderson just hasn't shown really any positive signs on the feet. I mean, hardly. And the shots he's landed really didn't have any significant damage to his opponents either. So I'm gonna have to say
Yeah,
no.
I agree. I think if Martin Day is going to lose, it would probably by knockout, right? It's how he's really lost in the past, and I'm not so sure I can bet on Anderson dos Santos to get the knockout, and I don't think it's going to the feet either. I think if I could trust him to implement that game plan to go to the ground and use those skills that he has there, I think dos Santos would be a live dog man, but I just don't know that I can take it. I think Martin Day is the way to go. I think the line might be a little off. It's probably closer to a pick 'em fight. But in terms of my actual pick, and guys, again, I want to reiterate this because I had people reaching out about this. The picks and bets differ, right? Jay and I are here. We're breaking down these videos for you. We're breaking down these fights for you. These are our predictions on who we think is going to win. Not necessarily who you're always going to bet on. When you are betting, I think it's very important. You want to chase the value. You don't, I can pick all these minus 300 favorites I want to because in theory, yeah, they should win. I'm going to give you guys who I think is going to win. I'm not just going to chase dogs to chase dogs. I'm going to tell you who I think is going to win, but might not always be the smartest to bet on. I don't bet on all these fights. If you guys reach out to Jay or me, you could see our actual bets in the past, anything like that. One thing I think we're both very good at is being very transparent. If you guys want to sign up, see my bets, see Jay's bets, reach out to us. You can see those. They do differ from the picks sometimes because sometimes you think, yeah, maybe a minus 300 is going to win, but maybe that upset's going to happen one way or another, and it's got really good value.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, picks and bets are not the same, you guys.
Yeah, I had people reaching out to me about that. They're getting like mad at me, I guess. And we put this out. This is free content for everybody. I think these are great breakdowns. Really delve into these fights, but definitely something for clarification, especially some of you guys that are new to betting. Just because we are picking someone does not mean that is an official bet. You can't be betting minus 300, minus 400 guys straight up money lines or just trying to sling together 10, 11 fighter parlays and expect to be profitable long term. Personally, I don't know about you, Jay, but I try and chase right around even money on a lot of my fights. Sometimes I'll chase a little bit of plus money, or if I see a good dog spot. But you shouldn't be trying to sling together like these plus 1,000 parlays every week unless it's for fun. And you shouldn't just be betting straight up minus 300, minus 400 favorites because long term it's just not going to be profitable, guys.
Yeah, it's just plain math, and yeah, just make sure when just try to take into account like, okay, how often is this guy gonna win out of 10 times, and if there's a slight possibility that he loses, maybe a few of those fights, then it could easily not be worth it. So you gotta take that into account.
And I think that's something really important to keep in mind, from betting tips for you guys. You guys can go online and look up implied probability calculators, right? So if somebody is a minus 400 favorite, I think the outcome of them winning is like 80, 85% of the time. If you don't think that fighter is going to win 80, 85% of the time, they should be winning more than that. Otherwise, you shouldn't be betting them. If it's a 50-50 fight, but the odds have an implied probability of, they're going to win 70% of the time, don't bet that. And vice versa. If the odds are saying it's a 50-50 fight, but you think one fighter is going to win 7 or 8 times out of 10, you want to take that bet. So there's a lot that goes into it. Feel free to reach out to either of us if you guys have any questions about this, but predictions and bets are different. And some of the lines here tonight, you're really going to see it. That's why we're talking about there's not a lot of good betting spots, right? We have our picks. We have who we think should win. But on these lower competition, lower level cards, it's very tough because with the lower levels of competition, those upsets happen a lot more frequently, and there's a lot more lapses in ring IQ. You have how you think that person is going to win, but you can't always trust them to implement that game plan.
Yeah, there's a huge difference between betting on a guy like Rafael dos Anjos to beat Paul Felder coming in on 1 week's notice, whatever, between betting on Martin Day to beat Anderson dos Santos. I mean, just the experience level is so big. Like Rafael dos Anjos, you know what you're going to get from a guy like that. You know what you're going to get from a guy like Khabib. But are you going to get the same Martin Day or the same Anderson Dos Santos? You definitely not, because they just haven't proven it.
No.
So that's something to
And
take.
they're improving consistently. There's some mental lapses, but these guys are constantly improving, so you never know what to expect, especially when there's like these 2-year gaps in between these guys' fights. So I think that's important, guys. I think this is one of those cards where you really should be betting lightly overall. There's a couple spots here. Hopefully we can help shine some light on those, but be careful again. So a little off topic, but I think that's an important clarification for those who are watching this video, especially guys who are newer to sports betting, as well as just overall just UFC in general. So if you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out to either of us.
Absolutely.
But all right, Martin Day looks like the spot. So moving on, we got Ashley Evans Smith versus Norma Dumont. Jay, I got close to nothing for this fight, man. This is gonna be my pass of the week, dude. There is no footage out there of Norma Dumont, and what we have seen from her was that fight. She went out there. It was short notice, and she was going up against Megan Anderson, and Megan Anderson just trivial. It was a couple minutes into the fight, and it was over. So I got no footage on her. I feel like you can't bet on her in any good faith because you just don't know how she's going to come out, what she's going to look like. And if we're looking at the odds, it's almost a pick 'em. And I think that's truly what it is. It's just a shot in the dark. You don't know what to expect in this fight. So I don't know. Do you have any leans in this fight?
Can we take a look at the size difference here?
Yeah, so let's see. Norma Dumont is 5'7", 67 inch reach, it looks like, right? She has fought up at 145, so 5'7", 67-inch reach. Ashley Evans Smith is coming in, same reach actually, 5'8". So I think Norma Dumont, she's going to be cutting more weight. She has fought at higher weight classes, but if you look at her in the past, I mean, Ashley Evans Smith isn't huge, probably doesn't need to cut a lot of weight. Norma Dumont, on the other hand, she will probably be cutting down, but I think she had a little bit of weight to cut. But she's got muscles. She's got that advantage. I would like to say I think she wins, but I just don't know enough about the girl.
Yeah, really not a lot of tape on her. I mean, she looks like she hits harder than Ashley, but I mean, a lot of chicks hit harder than Ashley. Ashley has better cardio, maybe slightly better technique. But yeah, just not enough information out there. Like, does Norma even like to go to the ground? How's her wrestling game?
I see. I thought she did, and then I'm pretty sure Megan Anderson took her to the ground and then beat the shit out of her, for lack of better words. That's pretty much happened. So, and actually, Evan Smith just doesn't impress me either. So yeah, like you're saying, man, this is a complete pass for me. I don't know. Do you have a pick here?
I mean, I guess I'm just gonna go with Ashley just because she's shown me at least some consistency, and she actually knows
the UFC veteran. Maybe it's the way to go.
Yeah, but besides that, I mean, I'm nothing really confident in this one. So
yeah, I don't know. Stay tuned, guys. I'll put something out on Saturday. I'll throw a shot in the dark, tell you guys who I think's gonna win. But I gotta dig around for some tape or something. Norma Dumont's never fought outside Brazil before her last fight, and she got demolished. So we'll see going into it. Maybe I'll creep on the girls' Instagrams a little bit, see if I can find something else. But I would pass on that fight completely. But here's a good one that I'm very excited for. We have Bill Algeo versus Spike Carlisle. So go ahead, Jay. You want to break this one down first?
Yeah, we got two wild fighters in there. Bill Algeo and Spike Carlisle. They both like to go pretty much 100%. Empty their gas tank as much as they can to try and take out their guys. And Bill Algeo, you saw him brawl against Ricardo Lamas, right? And he put on a pretty crazy output versus Ricardo. Ricardo was noticeably tired.
Yeah, he did.
Trying to withstand the storm of Bill Algeo, but Bill noticeably just leaves his hands down, gets hit a lot. Just really likes to brawl. Is not really in there to be the best fighter. He's really in there just to entertain the fans. And you see that in between rounds, he's putting up his arms like, "Come on, guys, come on," right?
Yeah.
But his gas tank just blows after that first round. And he's gotten beaten up really bad at the end of rounds versus both guys he's fought. And I think Spike is going to have.
I think there's going to be a big size discrepancy here too. It's 6 foot, 74-inch reach, we'll call it, versus Spike Carlisle. I don't think he's jacked, he's ripped. Don't get me wrong, but 5'8" and 71-inch reach. So there's definitely going to be that height and reach disadvantage there. Spike Carlisle is getting close to a minus a 2-1 favorite. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I'm really confident Spike is going to win. I just think he's stronger. He hits harder. He has better technique, better cardio. I just don't see Bill, being able to hold his own versus Spike. I think Spike's gonna manhandle him, honestly.
You know, I think what I guess impressed me the most was that loss actually against Billy Quarantillo. I had Billy Quarantillo in that fight, and I was sweating, man. That was a close fight. That was much closer than I thought it would be. And I think Spike Carlisle really showed up in that. I think what worries me the most is maybe the level of competition isn't there versus what Bill Algeo has fought. But Spike Carlisle he's a tough, scrappy guy. He is gonna fight for your money if you bet on him for sure. Um, you know, Trying to think of how Bill Algeo is going to get it done, it's going to be by decision. So what I'm thinking, in this fight is I think the over is the way to go. Honestly, I do see this fight going over. I think Spike Carlisle is incredibly durable, and seeing the pace that Bill Algeo put on with Ricardo Lamas, if you don't want to pick a fight, maybe the over here is the way to go. But I think I got to agree with you. I do think Spike Carlisle is going to end up getting it done. I think it might be closer than the line predicts. Bill Algeo, he had some good moments in there against Ricardo Lamas, but I think this is kind of Spike's time to shine. I got to agree with you. I do think Spike Carlisle is going to be the pick here.
Yeah, I do agree with the over because the way both these guys fight and their durability, there's going to be a little chance
Incredibly
to
durable.
knock out,
Impressive.
in my opinion, because the pace they're going to be putting on, the power is going to go down in both these guys, and it's just going to be like a grueling fight for like 3 rounds. And Spike will probably take down Bill or something, if he gets a little bit tired, but it's going to be super scrappy. Don't expect it to stay in one spot.
Definitely agree. It should be an interesting fight regardless, but yeah, maybe the over is the way to go. So up next, we have Miguel Baeza versus Takashi Sato. I think that's going to be a great fight. I think people are looking into this fight way too much. I'm going to be completely honest here. Miguel Baeza can be had for -160 on my book right now. He opened a much bigger favorite than that. I think money's been pouring in on Sato because they saw Baeza get a little rocked by Jim Miller, I think it was, in his last fight. And Sato does have that knockout power. I think Baez is going to pick apart Takashi Sato, man. I really do. Those calf kicks are going to compromise that karate style of Takashi Sato very quickly. And, man, I see Baez getting it done pretty easily here. I think Sato relies far too much on one punch. Baez's output's going to be better. I think he's got the opportunity for the decision or the knockout. I don't see this going to the feet. Keep it short and sweet. I think Baez is winning this one.
All very valid points. I think it's just, man, it's so hard because Miguel, yeah, he didn't look good versus Matt Brown. I mean, he looked good. I mean, but I think he does have a bad habit of moving straight back and leaving his chin up in the air. And
sorry, I said Jim Miller. I was thinking of the Roosevelt
right.
Roberts fight. Matt Brown, yeah.
Yeah, and versus Matt Brown, I mean, who's on a pretty heavy decline. Yeah, he still definitely packs some power, but even versus Victor Reina, he was getting backed up pretty good. And he did look great against Hector Aldana, but, again, Hector Aldana is not very good. I think it's a huge step up in competition for Baeza. I think this is going to be by far his biggest fight.
I do. This will be his toughest fight. I agree.
So it's going to be, how can he handle Takashi Sato's, experience and distance management? Takashi has very good boxing as well. He does have the in and out style. I think it's going to be interesting because will Miguel Baeza be able to land those calf kicks against the southpaw, who has a different stance? It's going to be a little bit easier for Takashi to check those, although we don't see Takashi check lots of kicks. So I mean,
yeah. He's pretty heavy on that. He's got that front foot, that karate style too.
Mm-hmm. I mean, for me, I think the thing was, I personally think Takashi has slightly more power in the hands and maybe slightly more comfortable boxing. I think the main thing that kind of turned me off about Baeza was his habit of moving backwards and eating shots. And I think if he does that versus Sato, it could be really bad. So I'm slightly edging Sato, but I'm not really confident to pick either guy when it comes to betting in this one. It's just too unpredictable.
Well, listen, man, if it is betting, if you're edging Sato, I think in that case, based on what you're saying, maybe the value does lie on Sato there. And I see a lot of people on him, so you can have him for plus money. If you want to take him by knockout as well, I'm sure you would probably get a pretty penny on Sato by knockout. I'm sure you'd probably get plus 200, maybe even plus 300 when those lines do drop. So be interesting to see. Another discrepancy here. I like when we disagree, though, because we can talk through it. We can see the opinions of both guys, and maybe why one's on one fighter versus the other. So should be a good fight, though.
Gonna be a great fight.
Up next, we have Josh Parisian versus Parker Porter. Man, go ahead. Break this one down for me before I get started.
I mean, Josh Parisian, this dude's a monster. What is he? He's like 6'4", like pretty good reach.
He's big. He's a big 265. So he cuts to 265, man. So you can see here, 6'4", 79-inch reach. He's going against, Parker Piggy Porker, who is, man, he's 6 foot 75. Yeah, he's going to be striking up 4 inches at a 4-inch reach disadvantage. I don't know about you, man. I do not see Parker Porter getting this done.
Yeah, this is one of those classic matchups where you have a really tall, big, athletic dude fighting a much shorter. I'm just gonna say he's pretty fat. I mean, he's got man's.
He is, man. He's got. Listen. He could be a light heavyweight. It doesn't really show here. You see his neck veins popping out and stuff. Man, if you see this guy in person, go look him up on Instagram, guys. He's got weight to lose. Like we said, Parisian has very good movement for a 265 pounder too, in my opinion.
Very good movement.
I see a lot of guys on Parker Porter, and personally, I do not see it. I will say right now, I have a pretty big parlay this week, and it does involve Josh Parisian. So I don't know.
Me too. Josh Parisian's in my parlay as well. Parker.
So
Parker. He has some decent boxing. He lunges in way too much because his lack of reach, and he did that versus Chris. He got outmaneuvered every single way against Chris. He got out-grappled, outstruck in the clinch.
Chris was good too. I don't think take anything away from that. Chris is a good fighter. I think we're seeing that. But like you're saying, he was at a big disadvantage.
Yeah. And versus Josh Parisian, Josh likes to fight in the clinch. He's good at landing strikes off the clinch. He showed that. He's really good at landing leg kicks after guys lunge in, which Porker does. So I really see just Parisian just landing leg kicks over and over again, hurting Porter, and then putting up against the fence and finishing him, dude. I mean, Parker doesn't have a chin either.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think people are reading this way too much. I see so many guys on Porter, and listen, you guys can tell me to eat my own words if he loses on Saturday, but I got Parisian. I think people are reading this way too much, man. This is big shot in the UFC. He has won 2 Dana White Contender Series wins. Parisian, I just see Parisian having the advantage here. He's going to be quicker. He's going to out-jab him. He's going to outstrike him. I think the only way Porter is going to get it done is maybe a knockout. Maybe. I don't know. I don't see a submission happening.
It's got to be super low.
Honestly, I don't see – I think Parisian by first-round knockout is my official prediction, to be quite honest.
Me too. I don't know anyone who I probably could ask so many people that actually train who would take Porter over Parisian. I don't know anyone who would do that. So
I think people are doing it from a betting perspective. They just see the line and 2-1 favorite in Parisian. But man, I got Parisian here. So yeah, I think we both got him. So co-main event, we got an interesting fight here with Anthony Smith versus Devin Clark. And I don't know. I'm kind of all over the place with this one. Do you have a hot take here?
Well, watching Anthony Smith's fights, he just looks worn down, and I know where he's coming from. I know how it feels to be worn down and just burnt out from fighting, and taking so much damage, right? Even though your mind says, I could go. But when it comes to fight time, it's a whole different story, man. I think Anthony Smith is in that spot where he just really needs a break, in my opinion. I mean, he got knocked down with the calf kicks against Stasic, and then he couldn't get up. I mean, he hurt his calf, but after recovering a little bit, you should be able to at least get up on your feet and be able to do something. But, especially having a black belt in jiu-jitsu, it's pretty alarming.
He didn't do anything, man. He just sat in guard there the entire time. He was trying to throw a very half-hearted, basic, like your first practice, you show up, this is what they teach you: arm bars from guard and triangles from guard, man. I just wasn't impressed. And, he's a black belt. He would, he'd whoop my ass, but I've done some jiu-jitsu training in the past. And what I saw in that fight was kind of nerve-wracking to me. The one thing I will say, though, is the level of competition that Anthony Smith has fought is so much higher than what Devin Clark has fought. I think Devin Clark's path to victory here is going to be to wrestle Anthony Smith and take him to the ground and just hold him there, just like Alexander Rakic did. And I think we'll see how it's going to go. I think that's going to be another over-under, and I'm going to tell the viewers who are taking the time to watch this video, I do think this fight's going to go over as well, regardless which way. I don't necessarily know if I see a finish. If I do, it's probably going to be Anthony Smith is going to finish Devin Clark, in my opinion, maybe early. If not, I think Devin Clark's going to take Smith to decision. So,
Yeah, I think, yeah, exactly. If Smith is going to win, it's going to be a knockout. If Clark wins, it's going to be by decision. I do personally think Clark, coming off a pretty big win off Alonzo Menefield, he got rocked really bad, but showed some good heart.
Yeah, he hung in there, man. He hung in there. Yeah, he did.
And I think the style of fight is going to favor Clark just because, his wrestling, he seems to have a pretty good, awareness of where he's at in the game, like where he's at in the fight.
Yeah.
Seems to have a pretty good, training regimen. And I think that style and pace is going to help Clark. He seems to be in much better shape than Smith right now, too. And I think the wrestling is just
going
to be a huge factor in that area.
And I think Clark has everything to win in this fight, and Anthony has everything to lose. So honestly, I don't think Clark is going to take this lightly. I think Clark is really going to show up. So who knows? Are we going to see the upset on Saturday night? I mean, Devin Clark is plus money right now. So if you guys are thinking about that, he could be out for plus 110 currently. And I guess we'll see from there.
Yeah, the only reason why I wouldn't take him is just because he's been rocked so many times for strikers. But
yeah,
that's pretty much the only reason why.
We will see, guys. We will see. All right, main event. I got to pick locked in for the main event. I don't think anybody's going to be too surprised by what I got here. What are you feeling for this? Are we going to tell anything to the fans that they don't already know here?
I mean, Curtis has been on fire. This dude's just piecing everything together.
He's this close to a title shot.
I mean, this guy is on a good one, man. And it stands out when you see his last few fights. Just the way he understands the game, he understands his strengths and what he can do to make those strengths, help him win fights. And what he does is he likes to wrestle guys early, put them on their ass, and then in the second round, when guys are so hesitant because they're afraid of the takedowns, he starts piecing them up on the feet, and it's so apparent, and he's been killing it like that.
Because they're so scared of that takedown.
Yeah. So extremely good game plan. I like Curtis Blades in this one. Get done.
Man, I gotta agree with you. All right, I'm gonna break this down very simply. Okay, Blades is gonna wrestle. We know that he's gonna get those early takedowns against Derek Lewis, and Lewis always goes to the ground. He always gets taken down. I think he will shoot back up. But we just saw Blades put on a crazy pace with Volkov. Even though he's getting tired in the 4th and 5th round, he set a record for a takedown shot, and he landed 14 takedowns, man. I just don't see Derek Lewis getting past 14 takedowns. I think eventually Blades is probably going to get done inside the distance. Maybe if you guys are looking for prop, maybe a late finish, maybe rounds 4 or 5. Obviously, if you're going to take Derek Lewis, it's got to be by knockout. I see no way he's going to win via submission. No way he's going to win by decision. Lewis by knockout. I'm sure it's pretty close to what you can have him straight up. Right now, he's a plus 300 underdog. I think by knockout, it'll probably like plus 350 max. So Blades is my pick. I don't think there's anything too crazy there. The line is getting a little steeper, so I'd say hop on it sooner rather than later, guys. I just think that's the way to go. I don't have too much else to say. Anything else to add?
I mean, not much. Derek Lewis just gets taken down over and over again. He's not going to be able to survive Curtis's, takedowns for the rest of the fight. So, I mean, I don't really know what else to add, honestly.
Yeah. So I think that's it. I think we're both in agreement there. Overall, guys, I would just say be cautious with this card. Got to be careful where you're taking your spots here. There's a lot of lines that might trip you up. Hopefully this is able to help you guys get some predictions and feelers for the fights and overs, unders. I think there's a lot of good spots on this card for overs and unders, maybe a couple of props here. But yeah, Jay, any last words? Anything else you got to add?
Yeah, I agree, guys. Be very careful with this one. Lots of red flags coming on from, a lot of fighters, lots of uncertainty. So just be very careful. Yeah, I think, well, in my opinion, some of the more safe ones are going to be maybe Parisian and Blades. So definitely look into those. But yeah, besides that, just, look back, enjoy, and try to learn from this card rather than try to make so much money off it.
Yeah, guys, don't be forcing spots. There's a lot of really good cards coming up soon. So reach out to us. Make sure to tune in for videos. If you hit me up my page, always willing to help. Jay, same thing. Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. This video, it's going to be on our YouTube channel. So make sure you like, comment if you have any questions or anything like that, or just wanted to drop a comment, and subscribe to both channels. But thank you guys again for all the appreciation. My name is Paul. I am on PK MMA Picks at Instagram, and I am here with my guy Jay from MMA Prophecies. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this breakdown video. So thank you all.
All right, thanks, guys, and peace out.